Hi everyone, I'm Lauren from I Know Why She Stayed initiative, reading one of the stories that was submitted to us. If you would like to share your story, find us on Reddit, I Know Why She Stayed. This one is titled The Ex. I never say his name, the ex-boyfriend who tried to unalive me, and that was not the worst of his crimes. It started with my notice to resign from a job I was desperate to escape. The company hired my replacement, a man as charming with his smile as he was with his lies. I fell in love, and 3 weeks after I moved away, he followed me across state boundaries and declared his love. It was romantic, a dream come true. It soon became a nightmare. What he felt wasn't love, it was possession. He tried to control my clothing, who my friends were, and soon he began challenging me to think and act in ways that fed his ego and his spicy fantasies. His behavior stressed me out, shut me down, and soon our cute little home was becoming harder and harder to pay for. I had a full-time job, and according to him, so did he. A desk job in a high-tech, and according to the ex, he wasn't allowed to have a phone at his desk or incoming calls during work hours. Sure, I thought that was odd, but given how hard he was trying to control every aspect of who I was, I did not give it much thought. He never stressed about money, but I did. Bills got paid, but it always felt like most of it came out of my pocket. Food, rent, power, even gas for his car. As he continued his full-court press towards a dangerous and gross spicy fantasy he was desperate to play out on me, I grasped at reasons to stay late at work, to attend work functions that were for employees only. I constantly lied about this to have a safe space out of the house. But it was getting harder to pay for anything outside of the house, and I began to wonder where all his money went every week. Then I received a call from his best friend, asking me why I kept him there, why I wouldn't allow him to move back home. I was completely baffled by this question and asked his friend to explain. Turns out the ex didn't have a job. He stayed home every day and spent the time pleasing himself to quite disturbing corn. He'd been borrowing money every month from his friends in Atlanta, convincing them that I wouldn't allow him to work or to return home. I was absolutely mortified, not just at the heinous lie that he told his friends, but that I'd been supporting us while being gaslit into not making enough money to help our finances. The worst part, by this point, I was so terrified of the man harming me greatly, I didn't know how to escape. I made secret plans and had to very subtly caress my way out of the home and into a new apartment the next city over. My first night in the new apartment, I locked all the doors and cried for hours. I had no bed, no furniture, nothing but the clothes on my back, but it was mine, a safe space. 3 days later, he applied for an apartment in the same complex. Terror gripped me as he left the office and I snuck in. I begged the woman at the front desk not to let him in. I told her about our lives, how violent he could be. And the lady just shrugged her shoulders and said, "He has perfect credit. By law, I can't say no." That was a lie. She let him in, and suddenly I was no longer safe. I even asked if I could change the locks on my door, and she refused. I was stuck. I already broken one lease this month, and it wouldn't be good if I broke two. The ex's temper and false charm became worse. He found ways to keep stopping by. He could see the moment I left for work or when I came home, and he was always waiting. Even work became unsafe as he kept calling every few hours, and my boss was insistent I answer every call that came through the line. I didn't know what to do. I had no one to trust, no one I dared trust, because I was terrified that my ex and ashamed of the truths about him. I dared not speak. The night before the trip out of town, I stayed up until midnight packing, so excited that I'd have a week away where he wouldn't be within 1,000 miles. When I finally fell asleep, packed and ready to go, I woke up an hour later from a dead sleep, instantly alert that something was very wrong. From my spot on the floor, I turned my head up. He stood over me, his features chiseled into rage, a pillow gripped in his hand. As he bent toward me, my body reacted, and I bolted off the blankets. My conscious brain hadn't registered the pillow or his intent, but my subconscious body had, dumping me full of adrenaline. I screamed and hollered and shoved him backwards again and again. I never in my life acted this way, but some part of me understood that my life depended on it. I screeched and screamed and finally got him out of the door. I slammed it hard, bolted every lock to the tune of him yelling and shouting horrible things at me. When the airport shuttle arrived, I raced to get in, knowing I might come back to a ransacked apartment. All I can say is someone somewhere was watching my back. By the time I returned home, he was packing a truck and left the state. It took me 20 years to finally figure out who got him. It was an officer friend of mine who unfortunately disappeared before I could ever tell her how grateful I was. She'd been keeping an eye on me because she knew, and she'd figure out what took me so long to escape. A week after the ex left, I received a call at work. A company back east was asking to speak with him, that he was late on support payments for a child he never mentioned. His ex was smart enough to get far away from him. Thank you for your story.
If you have a story that you'd like to share, write to us at the r/iknowwhyshestayed subreddit. Find us on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For resources, to learn more about us, the initiative, and upcoming events, visit us at iknowwhyshestayed.org.